So first, can you tell me a bit about the need for this corridor and
Yeah.
the current traffic situation?
Well, this has been on our plans for over 30 years. We've been planning this. It's an essential part of our transportation plan. As we've grown down here, the need has become more and more obvious, and to the point where we're starting to have certain intersections that are starting to come under what we call collapse. In other words, it's taking more than one light to get through. So the northern corridor is absolutely essential to get citizens east and west in Washington County.
So where will this pull traffic from?
It'll pull traffic off of exit 13, and we'll put it over at the top of Bluff Street. So if you want to travel from Ivans and you're going north, or if you're coming from Hurricane and you want to go to Ivans, it will be a great route for you.
Sorry, I'm just adjusting the audio a little bit. So what will this mean for downtown?
It'll actually save downtown. What we would experience without the northern corridor is basically a collapse of St. George Boulevard, where it would become so gridlocked that people wouldn't be able to get up and down town, and it would also make those businesses very hard to get in and out of. So in a lot of ways, this corridor actually saves what we consider St. George and downtown and the beautiful community that it is here.
And so what does the timeline look like for this project? When will construction begin, and when do you think it'll be completed?
Well, we're actually going to move as quickly as possible. We've been waiting for decades now to get the green light. We thought we had this worked out in 2009 when we had a Washington County Lands Bill pass, and we were promised this. So the federal government is finally honoring their promise to Washington County, and so we plan to immediately move forward. We being Washington County, the cities of St. George and Washington, as well as the Utah and the Department of Transportation. And so we hope to get out on the land as soon as possible to start doing our preliminary, or finish our engineering on it.
And sorry if I missed this, but did you say when there likely would be the final product?
I don't have an estimation on that, but we plan to move very quickly. We being the state of Utah and Washington County, and so there's several parts to that. But you'll actually see the fences and the preliminary equipment go out on the ground very quickly.
Is that like weeks, months?
Weeks.
Oh, okay, great. And then why was the corridor approved now after not having been in the past?
Yeah. Well, we actually did approve it during the end of the Trump administration, and then there was a lawsuit that pushed that back. And so we asked for it to be reconsidered, and after they reconsidered it, they came back with a favorable decision, which is the right decision. It's the moral decision. It was a promise that was made in the 2009 Lands Bill, and so this is an important corridor. It's a win-win-win. It's a win for the people that are trying to get across town, the commuters that won't be stuck in traffic. It's a win because Zone 6 is preserved for recreationalists and hikers, and it's a win for the tortoise. The tortoise will benefit by 7,000 acres that's being set aside to mitigate for this road.
Could you tell me more about that?
Well, the Zone 6 is down south of Bloomington, has a very high population of tortoises. It was not protected prior to this agreement, and the lawsuit undid the first agreement. This puts that protection back into place. That's also an area that's highly recreated by climbers and mountain bikers, and that will be permanently preserved going forward.
Is that in the conservation area or outside of it?
It's outside of what's called Zone 3, which is where the road is going to go, but it is a part of what is considered the habitat conservation area. Okay. It's outside of the NCA, but it's part of the habitat plan for the tortoise.
Got it. Okay. Could you see another overruling of this or no?
Well, obviously litigation is a reality. It's a reality whenever you deal with this. We feel that we have a very good case. The case before was not judged on the merits. It was only a settlement that was reached to by the previous administration. And so we feel that even if we do have litigation, we are in an extremely strong position to defend the need for this road and the protection of the environment and federal law.
Okay. And then how will this be funded?
Well, it's going to be funded by UDOT, Utah Department of Transportation primarily, as well as local government will be funding it.
Is there any potential or plans for development around the corridor?
No. So that is one myth that people need to know, is that the NCA, the National Conservation Area, which was actually the lands bill that also instructed the Department of Interior and BLM to give this road, it will remain in place. There will not be development along this road. The road will be built with sensitivity to the landscapes it's on, and it will be a beautiful road for people to travel, but there will not be additional development just because the road went in.
And is there like specific protections that prevent that, or?
Yeah, the NCA, the National Conservation Area, and also the habitat conservation, both will restrict any additional development besides the need for a road and a utility area. So it's just going to be a road and a utility corridor. That'll be all it'll be.
You already touched a bit on that new reserved area, but for anyone who had environmental concerns, do you have a message to them?
I would just like them to step back and take a look at what we've done. Washington County has really worked hard to meet in the middle. This is an important piece of infrastructure, but we also care about the environment we live in. We care about making sure that the habitat is preserved and that we have areas to recreate on. So Zone 6 we felt like was a great compromise. We've had great partnership with School Trust Lands as they've worked with us. They actually have a lot of land in Zone 6 that they're going to start to trade out, and that land will continue to be owned and managed by the Bureau of Land Management and be set aside as protection for critical habitat for not only plants, but primarily the desert tortoise. So it's going to be a win-win. I promise people, the road is going to be a beautiful road. It's going to be very respectful for the environment, and they're all going to want to drive it and just see the beauty that's out there.
And overall, how would you say this is going to impact the community?
Well, it's going to save, like I mentioned, downtown. It's going to save Boulevard from actually being so gridlocked that it becomes unbearable. And so it's just another important piece of infrastructure keeping up with the growth we have here in Washington County.
So first, overall, how will this impact the community?
Well, it's really going to save Boulevard, right? Because right now, all of the traffic to get east and west primarily dumps onto St. George Boulevard, and you're already starting to see traffic lights fail, which means it takes more than one traffic light to get through. So this will be another way for people to get across town.
Is there any potential for a reversal?
Well, there's always a potential, and we probably expect a lawsuit to be filed. But we're very comfortable. We have great legal advice, and we feel that we're on very sound footing. Heck, we've been working on this for over 20 years, and so we feel like we're on very sound footing on the merits of this case as well.
Is there anything else? Any final messages?
Well, it's actually kind of an exciting day. In a lot of ways, I think about our pioneers that had to come here and just grit through processes and building canals and a community, and nothing's ever easy in a beautiful area like here, but it is a good day of celebration. So.
I just thought of one more question. One concern people have brought up to me is becoming more car dependent and more roads like this happening.
Yeah.
What would you say to that?
Actually, I've been advocating for, and people should expect that there will be a bike lane along this road as well. So there'll be a room for active transportation. We're constantly investing in trails. That's one of the great things about Zone 6 that is actually brought about, is there'll be more activity, more trails available for people to get out and enjoy the beautiful environment that we live in.